Hi, guys. Thank you for joining Comic Book Lounge, or CBL for short. We're taking a look at the all new Marvel Knights Punisher #1. A little background to this new Punisher series: it is tied to the same universe as the most recent The World to Come storyline, written by Christopher Priest and Joe Quesada. Both stories are set on Earth 616, a more mature and darker universe where many of Earth's superheroes have been killed or wiped out. These are tied, but not directly, to the 1998 Marvel Knights series. If you're interested, here are a couple titles you can go and check out for yourselves. Daredevil by Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada, Black Panther by Christopher Priest, Inhumans by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. I would skip the Punisher Purgatory comics that came out at the same time period. Reviews for those issues are pretty bad. I've read them. I'll just leave it at that. You guys can go and read the story synopsis and decide for yourself. I do recommend the 2000 Marvel Knights Punisher series Welcome Back, Frank, by writer-artist team Garth, Ennis, and Steve Dillon from Preacher fame. They stripped away all the Punisher Purgatory storyline nonsense and returned the character back to his ultra-violent roots. Very good series with great comic covers by Tim Bradstreet. I would say the new Marvel Knights Punisher series that we're looking at today, written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Dan Panosian, is a continuation of that 2000 storyline from Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. With that being said, let's get into it. On the first page, we see what looks to be Punisher's Manifesto. I'll have it on screen so you can read it if you want. But the Manifesto is setting up the storyline and just provides an insight into Punisher's current state of mind, angrier and even more determined in his mission. Now we get a sneak peek of Punisher for the first time, a grayer and older, but not feeble Punisher. With one arm, he's holding a man upside down, interrogating him, narrating, "One by one, Armando Malero's people tell me what they know, which isn't much. This job's becoming a real grind." Punisher screams, "Manny, the address now." Manny screams, "387 Park Avenue, the penthouse. I swear on my mom's eyes." On the next page, it is revealed the Punisher is holding Manny over an industrial grinder. Punisher is not fooling around here. As we follow down the page, we can see the Punisher has already ground up a couple guys before Manny. We now cut to the Lower East Side of Manhattan. A door is open. We see two women. One says, "Juan Lopez?" The man says, "The one and only." "And who are you two lovely ladies?" They respond, "A gift from Armando Malero." Juan does not trust them. He pulls out a gun and says, "Once I have you verified." They respond, "Call Armando. You have his direct line. We can wait." Juan says, "Step inside and face the wall. Hands interlocked over your head." He then calls Malero. "Mr. Malero, I'm so sorry to bother you. I just need to verify something." Malero, in a smug tone, asks, "Are you talking about the two gifts I sent you your way?" "They are a thank you for a job well done. Be careful, though. Those two are heartbreakers. Whatever you do, don't fall for them." "Adios." He hangs up the line. The second he hangs up, he orders his henchmen to prep the private jet and mobilize their forces. His goal is to delete the Punisher from history. Juan doesn't realize he's the bait in this scenario. We see one of the women pull out a packet and then blow a powder into Juan's eyes. He screams for a second, then silence as the drug takes hold, turning his brain to mush. One of the women says to Juan, "You'll do exactly as I say, understood?" Juan stares back, replies, "Yes." She says, "When this goes off, I want you to..." Next thing we see is the Punisher pull up in his black car. We see Frank Castle walking into a lobby. Behind him, we see the two women from Juan's apartment exiting the building. The women call out to Punisher, "What's the rush, big, tall, and angry? The party's this way." The Punisher doesn't even notice. The Punisher's narrating in his head the latest synthetic drug Malero's men are pushing, called Zombie, or Z for short, has a body count of over 300 overdoses and counting. I need to put an end to this. Frank then kicks the door in. Juan is already on the balcony, balanced precariously on the railing. Punisher yells, "If you give me the information I want, I can." All of a sudden, a piercing alarm rings from Juan's wrist. Punisher screams, "Wait!" But Juan's face goes hollow. He steps off the ledge and vanishes. We then see Juan's body hit the roof of a passing bus with a hollow thud. High above, the Punisher stands on the ledge, a silent shadow against the city lights. The Punisher narrates, "Obviously, under the influence of Malero's Z-drug, someone got to him before I did. I have to toss this place for any info I can find." Punisher runs back into Juan's apartment, tearing through the desk and papers, looking for anything. He finds a cell phone with a single message, "Red Hook." He's found the lead he needs. Cut to FBI headquarters during a high-level meeting. We hear someone yell, "Agent K, you have a call on line 1 from New York. Should I have them call you back?" You see 3 men sitting in an office. A senior female agent, Agent K, picks up the call. "No, I'll take it. Close the door behind you. Gentlemen, quiet please." The call is informing her that her key informant, Juan Lopez, has been killed. She says, "What in hell? That's a hell of a way to catch a bus." This sets us back big time. She slams the phone and notifies the men in her office that our informant in Malero's gang has died by suicide in New York. That makes 3 dead agents. This confirms the FBI's heavy involvement in the case and the ongoing surveillance of Malero. The tension is underscored as the camera shifts to the other agents in the room who are joking around about the informant. A mousy agent says, "You think he was depressed? I remember when I lived in the big city, it was really hard to make friends. At one point, I considered the delivery guy family." A military man chimes in, "That's why I prefer dogs, loyal to the end." Another agent in a suit says, "True, but they can get depressed, though I just don't think it's in their nature to be suicidal." Agent K starts screaming, "The next idiot that talks gets a bullet in the head." We lost a crucial connection, and without him feeding us information, Malero's people are going to keep expanding their drug cartel. I need to place a new agent undercover, and if you don't get me one in the next few days, one of you geniuses will be given that job. Now get out, I have another call to make. Agent K makes another call, another informant, Howard, who seems to be relaxing by the pool. He informs Agent K more bad news. Malero is gone. He left the country with his wife and El Zombie in a rush. Yeah, New York this morning. Dealing with some problem with clients with El Zombie? A bloodbath is guaranteed. Oh, and he's got someone high up feeding him information, he says. I'm pretty close to finding out who that is. Agent K says, "Really? If that's true, I'd pay for that information. I feel like I'm swimming upstream here. I'll alert the authorities to keep an eye out in New York. Do anything you can to get me a name." "Okay, talk to you later." We cut to Punisher at the docks at Red Hook, Brooklyn. What looks like he's carrying a grenade launcher. Punisher narrates, "Not sure where these shipments are coming in from, but I recognize some of the men from Malero's gang. The others look like crew." Punisher thinks to himself, "A little bit of chaos will help me get closer." As he smiles, he launches the grenades. You can see that he's enjoying this moment, and we can see the chaos reign. We then see one of Malero's men screaming, "It came from the rooftop!" And Punisher narrating, "Sure, just keep looking that way while We see Punisher come up behind one man and crack, knife right to the head. Punisher slaughtering Malero's men without effort. He is a killing machine. However, in the heat of the slaughter, his instincts kick in. He feels a threat approaching, something big, something coming up behind him. Punisher says, "It's him!" We see El Zombie for the first time. He's yelling, "I am death! I am El Zombie!" Punisher quickly disposes of the last two of Malero's men. He's clearing a path directly to El Zombie. You can tell he's looking forward to this fight as he narrates. Looks like I finally get my chance to send this killer to hell. Turns out it's not as easy as the Punisher thought. El Zombie is taking everything he's throwing at him. Nothing the Punisher does seems to slow down this killer. We see the Punisher take out a machete, cut deep into El Zombie's arm, but the monster doesn't even flinch. He just keeps coming. Punisher quickly pulls out a semi-automatic and shoots him point blank into the chest. The impact staggers the beast for a minute, just long enough for the new threat to emerge from the shadows. Two henchmen appear and shoot two tranquilizers into Punisher's neck. Punisher turns his head surprised and narrates, "What the hell? Blowguns?" But he doesn't have time to process what just occurred. El Zombie lunges back with a bone-shattering punch that sends Punisher reeling. Punisher pulls out a grenade and growls, "Enough of this!" But before the Punisher can even throw the grenade, El Zombie snatches out of his hands and hurls the grenade over his shoulder. The explosion hurls El Zombie full force right into the Punisher. Punisher is seen fumbling with his gun. El Zombie grabs it out of his hand and uses it against Punisher. A stunned and fearful Punisher narrates, "Those darts, I can't stay focused." Losing, the last thing the Punisher sees is El Zombie's determined, vacant eyes. We now cut to a plane 5.9 miles above Casa Malero in Sinaloa, Mexico. We see the head guy, Armando Malero, and his wife. Malero asking, "So tell me, doctor, are they going to make it?" Doctor says, "These wounds would normally be fatal, but I've stopped the internal bleeding best I can. Once we land back in Mexico, if I could get them to a proper facility and..." Malero interrupts, "Yes or no?" Doctor responds, "Yes." Malero says, "Outstanding." Malero's wife starts asking Armando, "Why are you keeping this piece of trash that murdered our son alive?" Malero responds, "What I have planned for this man is fate worse than death. Trust me, you'll see." She looks confused. Day 21. Punisher seems to be waking up and narrates, "My head." Then we see Malero ask a question. "Who am I to you?" "Answer me, Castle." A groggy, out of it Punisher that we can see he's behind bars says, "Malero, you can go. Malero says, "Hit him with another shot." The doctor reluctantly states, "Although this drug makes people submissive, this dosage, it's way over what we normally use on El Zombie. And although he is healing, well, his injuries, we still have to be careful not to over..." Malero cuts him off and says, "Another now." We see Malero and the doctor with the stripped down Punisher inside a prison asking him, "Who am I to you?" Punisher yells, "Armando Malero, a dead man." Malero smugly says, "That attitude will get you nowhere." He calls to El Zombie, "Please show Mr. Castle what happens when someone disobeys me." El Zombie starts beating up the Punisher, who is still drugged and has no fight in him. The Punisher collapses on the floor. Malero yelling, "Castle, I swear, somewhere deep inside you, you're enjoying this, you sick bastard." Punisher musters up some words, "Go to hell." Malero responds, "You first. This is personal." Doctor starts to say, "He keeps finding the drug. I've never seen anything like this. This is the 6th time now." Malero responds, "Then make it more powerful. And for God's sake, clean up the cell. It smells like a zoo. We'll try again tomorrow." As we see Punisher passed out on the floor. Now we see day 84. Malero asking, "Who am I to you?" Punisher responds, "My next kill." Day 102. Malero asks again, "Who am I to you?" Punisher responds, "Vermin." Day 122. Malero asks, "Who am I to you?" Punisher just spits in his face. Malero calls to El Zombie again. Day 156. Malero asks, "Who am I to you?" Punisher starts to say, Who cares?" Malero yells, "Doc, up the dosage again." Punisher starts to respond, You are Malero yells, "You will be broken, Castle." El Zombie, teach him another lesson. This time, the face. 20 minutes later, we see El Zombie walking toward Malero and a strung-up Punisher in the foreground. Malero says, "Do you remember killing my son, my beautiful Manny? The pain and loss his mother and I went through? By the time I'm finished with you, I will have my revenge, Castle." He then yells to another henchman, "Rodney, I got a flight to catch. Clean up this mess." Then we cut to Malero in a car speaking to his wife. Malero is basically telling her, "Stop moping around here, take some money, go to the beach." But after Malero pulls away, we see Malero's wife go to the prison where they're keeping the Punisher. She tells the guard, "Go take a break." She starts yelling at the Punisher, "Hey killer, can you hear me?" Punisher seems out of it. He barely responds. We see Punisher's eyes looking vacant, which means he's becoming zombified. Malero responds, "Good enough." She says, "My husband might have plans for you." As she's slowly slipping on brass knuckles, she says, "But I want my pound of flesh for what you did to my son." Cut to 3 days later at a home of a Howard Perez. We see a family sitting at a table next to a large window. They're about to sit down to eat dinner. We see them passing food around, talking, laughing, and joking. We see a little boy at the table with a toy dinosaur and his sister talking to the father and mother. The father is holding court. When all of a sudden, bullets flying through those windows shattering from the force of the bullets, cutting down the family so quickly they have no time to react. This gruesome scene feels familiar. It mirrors the tragic origin of Frank Castle himself. If you don't know Frank Castle's backstory, him and his family were having a peaceful picnic in New York City's Central Park where they accidentally caught a glimpse of a mafia execution. To ensure there were no witnesses, the mobsters opened fire on the whole family. Frank's wife, 2 children were killed instantly, but Frank survived. Driven by grief and a need for vengeance, this is the moment Frank Castle became the Punisher. On the next page, we see the aftermath. A plastic dinosaur toy surrounded by glass and blood on the hardwood floor. Next panel, we see the blown out windows, and we're slowly panning to the beach, and the camera scrolls down to the sand where we see bullet shells and a pair of black boots. The next panel, we see the Gatling gun with heat rising from its barrels. As we turn the page, there is the Punisher. The old Punisher is gone. In his place stands a man hollowed out and reborn, screaming, "I am death! I am El Zombie!" Malero has just defeated Frank Castle. He has weaponized him. But as Frank becomes the world's most dangerous enforcer, a countdown begins. How can he possibly break this chemical grip of the zombie drug? And most importantly, when this haze finally clears and he realizes what he has done, will there be anything left of the Punisher's mind to save?